It looks like Arne Slot's coming in. It looks like he's had the reassurances that he wants regarding how much influence he can have over the transfer market. It looks like Tottenham are starting to see the trees for the trees rather than the wood for the trees when it comes to talent ID. Go and get a sports betting data statistical model company, go and buy it, implement it, utilize it, and go and get the next whoever, and make our mistakes less frequent, make our utilization of whatever budget we have of a higher efficiency, and get us playing good football again. Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean. Bugsy's right down here with me. This is episode 207 of Tottenham Walks. I hope you are all happy and healthy doing the things that you love with those that you love doing them with. Please do me a favour, guys. Smash the like button for me. Smash the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's video. And guys, look, I just wanted to, before I get into the video, take a couple of seconds out to say, from the bottom of my heart, could not be more grateful. Thank you so much for all of the wonderful messages of support and well wishes that you were sent my way from hundreds and hundreds of you guys via either the comments in the last video, Instagram and Twitter DMs, or on WhatsApp. It meant the world to me. It's getting me through a really tough period. There's no update on my health right now. Still waiting for more CT scans and things at the end of this week before I know what I'm working with. But regardless, it blew my mind. Like astonishing to me how much support there is available in this community. It's a brilliant part of my life, and you know, I've really missed coming out and talking about Tottenham with you guys over the last 9 or 10 days, to the point where, you know, as uncomfortable as I feel right now, I definitely want to still just get some stuff off my chest. It's a nice distraction. So to each and every one of you that reached out in various ways, thank you. I really, truly appreciate it. And to those few of you as well who shared that you guys are also going through some difficult periods with regards to your own health, I really sincerely, genuinely hope that you get all of the reassurances you need and that you're on the full recovery mode as soon as possible. If you'd like someone to talk to share the load, share the burden, reach out to me on DMs, you know, on Twitter or whatever, and happy to jump on the phone, and we'll try and get through this together. But yeah, thanks guys. So look, don't really know where to go, but it feels to me, guys, as though there's been so much uncertainty with Tottenham ever since the Paratici and the Conte deal. Lots of grey, very little black or white. It feels to me like whilst we haven't got any kind of real true movement yet, that we are maybe approaching the period where there's going to be some decisions that are announced very quickly. It feels to me like the manager search is almost done, like Arne Slot is going to be the next manager. And he's someone that, for me, I'll be very excited about. You know, plays very attractive football. He's creative, he's innovative, a real character in the dressing room. I feel like he's someone that, you know, a lot of the players will rally behind and kind of fall in love with that energy, from what I can tell from him. I could be wrong, but that's the way it feels. And like I say, he's not afraid to, you know, throw caution to the wind in games when he's chasing situations. He's not afraid to be dynamic and kind of throw the paradigms of formations out the window, to utilise players in different ways than they probably would normally be utilised. I like it. I love it. I'm excited by this guy. I didn't know too much about him before the managerial search began. I don't follow Dutch football, but obviously since I've heard his name increasingly come to the top of the list, I spent a lot of time checking out what Feyenoord are about, and you know, some of their football is breathtaking to watch. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't seem to matter who they're playing against. So they're playing the teams that are better talent, better caliber of talent in the squads, or the teams that are kind of maybe weaker. He still goes for it, which to me is, you know, a breath of fresh air and something that I'd love to see at Tottenham. We haven't seen for a long time at Tottenham a manager kind of take teams on and see what happens. And I think that's what we could come to expect maybe from Arne Slot. So I'm excited by the prospect of seeing him in. Now look, it seems to me like in the newspapers this morning, there at least is some additional movement towards what is required from the club to help Arne Slot get over the line with his willingness to join the club. And one of those stumbling blocks appeared to be, if you believe the newspapers, how much, or a lack of clarity around how much influence he will have over the transfers. A similar stumbling block to what Julian Nagelsmann had. And they're probably basing that off of the hearsay that is often touted from managerial predecessors regarding how much influence they had. And when the club stepped in and, when we could have had A, we went for B, and all those mistakes. And so Arne Slot said, well, I would like to know, do I get the final say, the final vote? And according to some of these papers this morning, there has been concessions made in that regard, reassurances from the club. Whether they are embedded into the contract or not remains to be seen, but at least in terms of the negotiations, the discussions, it appears as though Arne Slot will have as much influence as he deems necessary to get him over the line, which is a good thing, if it's true. Again, remains to be seen. Now, I'm not sure that Arne Slot is the sort of manager that would want £100 million players anyway. I think he's more than happy to work with talented youngsters, but talented youngsters cost a lot of money. In this day and age, in this current situation within the financial side of football, especially in the Premier League. And are Tottenham going to have that money to spend? We didn't finish in the Champions League. We won't even finish in the Europa League this season now. So, the immediate financials of Tottenham Hotspur's 23-24 season will be, at least 60, 70 million quid lower than last season. But we do have the financial strength coming into this summer from last season to build from. We also have the 50 million quid from the 150 million quid that wasn't spent. And I was always wondering why that was. And I read somewhere this week that under the new FFP rules, owners have the ability, if they want, to inject a maximum of £100 million into the club to be able to spend by the club external to revenues generated from the club every single year. So of that 150 million, 100 million was spent maybe last year. 50 million is left. Let's hope that gets put in like Daniel Levy promised in the January figures. And let's hope maybe that they put their hands in their pocket and pull out another 50 and put that in to a transfer budget. Now, obviously, we have a lot of players, 250 million quid's worth of players out on loan at the moment. And, I've mentioned on this channel before a number of times the inability for us to dilute our mistakes into the secondary market by utilising Europe as a player trading activity. Most of Europe is broke. And whilst we can put, the plaudits towards the Premier League and the Football Association within the UK in how they distribute campaign prize money, TV media money, all of that stuff throughout the pyramid in a way that allows for better utilisation, better sustainability, better security for the smaller clubs. That same system does not operate in the same way in Italy, in Spain, in France. The vast majority of all of the money that's available goes to the big teams. And as a consequence of that stranglehold that is then placed over the smaller teams, there really is nowhere for expensive mistakes to be offloaded into. Players like Tanguy and Ndombele, who are on 200 grand a week and cost 60 million pound, are under no obligation to take a 60% haircut on their salary to move abroad whilst they're in their contract. They're not good enough to go to the clubs in Europe or in the Premier League who would want to take on that salary. And so Tottenham are left, and this is not just at Tottenham, there's lots of clubs that are left with the consequences of expensive mistakes in their player trading history, where they either have these players filling up their squad or they put them out on loan. Tottenham have 8 players on loan, maybe 5 or 6 of which really have no future at Tottenham. We also have, arguably 6 or 7 players within the squad that realistically have no future at Tottenham and no ability to offload them. And so what we've heard as a solution to this issue from Paul O'Keefe this week or last week was that Tottenham are prepared to tear up contracts. And that's a nice thing to hear, that they're willing to get the ball rolling with this rebuild by, rather than kicking the can down the road and letting these contracts wind down. Some of these contracts now are at the point where there's only 1 or 2 years left on them, and so it's less expensive to pay these players out in full and to move them on, to make room in the squad to bring in new players. Tanguy Ndombele will probably be one, but that will cost, in all likelihood, 25 million quid, 20 million quid to Tottenham in terms of paying this guy out to get him off the books. Davinson Sanchez, 1 year left on his contract, will probably be another victim of or a beneficiary, probably you should say it, in his world, of the contract tear-up situation. What about Ryan Sessegnon? I doubt it, but it's plausible. Eric Dyer, 1 year left on his contract. All the rumours are that he's going to get a new contract, but most Tottenham fans would say tear it up, get him out, move him on. Perisic, 1 year left on his contract. He's on 180 grand a week. Now, to me, I don't think there's any point in selling or tearing up his contract. He does offer value. And so, given that when you tear up contracts, you have to pay them out in full, generally speaking, there's really no benefit in doing that. I'd keep Perisic. Hugo Lloris for sure is on his way out. I'd imagine Danjuma won't be signed. Lucas Moura is definitely leaving. Maybe Harry Winks. If we can't find a new home for him, he'll probably get his contract torn up. So we are going to start to make space in the squad, which is interesting. But with all that money being spent on tearing up contracts, how much budget is there really going to be for Arne Slot to get stuck into? We don't know yet. Hopefully, like I say, Daniel Levy and Enoch are going to pull another 50 million quid out from underneath the mattress. Hopefully, they'll utilise some of the cash that is sat on the balance sheet to be able to make things happen. Maybe they'll look to go after the people that are out of contract in the summer, make big pushes for those types of players if Arne Slot sees value in players like Ndika. Or the plethora of other players that are out there. Maybe Tottenham are going to look to do deals for some of the players that are in the relegated clubs that look likely to be Leicester, that could be Everton, that could be Leeds. We'll find out at the end of the season next week. So there are options out there, but I don't think that Tottenham are going to have a monster budget to play with. And so Arne Slot needs to be able to get as much blood from the stone, get as much juice from the squeeze as possible with the young players that are coming through. And I think he could be the manager that could do that. He seems like a manager who, as I said before, could invoke some sort of team spirit and a relationship type of guy, like a Harry Redknapp who gets players wanting to play for him. Time will tell. And the final piece of the jigsaw, guys, that I'm really looking forward to seeing from Tottenham this season, or going forward, if rumours are to be believed, is the introduction of a new kind of talent ID system, similar to what Brighton and Brentford do, very much data-based. I've spoke about this on a video before, that Tottenham should absolutely be going and looking into doing this sort of model. You can check out that video by clicking above. For me personally, Bloom at Brighton, who owns the sports betting data company Star Lizard, where high net worth individuals give over their money to Star Lizard, and then they look to utilise and find undervalued betting markets utilising data and statistics. That system that they then take for identifying talent is a very successful one at Brighton. The guy, Matthew Benham at Brentford, who used to be Bloom's best mate and worked together at Star Lizard, he left after an acrimonious fallout and went to Brentford and introduced their own sports data model called Sporting Odds, I think it's known as. And he utilises the same system and does it very, very well, so that they always have this new succession of players coming through. I mentioned in that video that Tottenham should do the same thing. They should go and identify a fledgling company, a fledgling data, sports, science, statistical model that is out there, and buy it and utilise it and implement it at Tottenham Hotspur. It would be the cheapest 100 million or the cheapest 200 million quid they've ever spent, because of the amount of money that they could save in making mistakes in the transfer market. It looks like Tottenham are about to do the same thing, which is great news. They should have asked me 3-4 months ago when I did that video. We could have been 3-4 months closer to having the next Caicedo or the next Matoma or the next Cucurella or whoever. So there are things that are changing at Tottenham, guys. It looks like things are changing. Then there's no necessary news yet on the director of football, but it looks like Arne Slot's coming in. It looks like he's had the reassurances that he wants regarding how much influence he can have over the transfer market. It looks like Tottenham are starting to see the the trees for the trees rather than the wood for the trees when it comes to talent ID. Go and get a sports betting data statistical model company. Go and buy it, implement it, utilize it, and go and get the next whoever, and make our mistakes less frequent. Make our utilization of whatever budget we have of a higher efficiency, and get us playing good football again. I really hope that this summer is going to be transformational. I really hope that they tear up the contracts of the players we don't need anymore, take the financial hit, square in the face, and move on. Let's get things going in the right direction. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, bye-bye.